and the people who love them.
Hello, my friends. This is Mickey Desai, and you are listening to The Thing About Cars. We have a full house around the table today. Let's do some introductions. Dawn, are you there?
I am here.
And Dave.
Dawn, you can't be here because I'm here.
Oh.
And
you must be there.
She's there.
I'm not.
Is Beka here or there?
Actually, I'm in my own world.
Okay. And Ben, is it possible that Ben is neither here nor there?
Well, I don't know. That would be a hell of an interesting paradox.
And we have a special guest joining us today from, where did you say you were, Carmella?
I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, just south of Greenville, actually.
Great, cool. Thank you for joining us. And I know we're going to talk some more with you in a few minutes here, but I wanted to introduce a quick section of Grand Trivia Auto. In fact, I have 10 short questions for us from alumni portal deutschland.org. Their website has some interesting German trivia, and that's where I'm messing up. I don't know if we should redo the entry or not, Dave, but this particular episode is called Autoberfest in honor of actually Oktoberfest, obviously. So this particular episode is going to be all about German cars, German culture, all things related to Oktoberfest. Wouldn't you say, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. I like Autoberfest.
Autoberfest is an excellent title. So here's our 10 German trivia auto questions for the day, and we'll ask the questions now, and we'll answer all 10 at the end of the episode. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Here are the questions.
Yeah.
So question number 1. How many registered cars are there in Germany? And this is a count that was derived as of 2017. Does Germany have 32 million cars, 46 million registered cars, or 72 million registered cars? Question number 2. Where was the world's first engine factory built in 1864? Was that Berlin, Frankfurt, or Cologne? I could never pronounce that properly.
Cologne.
Right. Question number 3. How many people in Germany use car sharing options? Would that be 4 million, 2 million, or 400,000? Question number 4. Which car manufacturer of today was the world's biggest producer of bicycles in the early 20th century? Would that be Opel, Audi, or Daimler? Question number 5. Which of the following brands does not belong to the Bayerische Motorenwerk? And I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly. That's BMW, of course.
Bayerische Motorenwerk.
Thank you. Would that,
Chichi probably can do better than me.
So would that brand?
Bayerische Motorenwerk.
Yeah.
So would that brand be Mini, Rolls-Royce, or Audi? Of course, we all know that one, of course. Number 6, Germany is among the few countries in the world that does not have a general speed limit. For which other country is this also true? Is that Italy, Chile, or Somalia? Number 7, who developed the first car featuring a combustion engine? Was that Carl Benz, Wilhelm Maybach, or Gottlieb Daimler? Question number 8, how many people are employed in the car industry in Germany, including its suppliers? Again, as of 2017, is that 250,000 people, 800,000 people, or 1,075,000 people? Question number 9, what was not developed by Ferdinand Porsche? Was that the world's first hybrid car? Was it the automatic transmission or the VW Beetle? And the last question, number 10 on this quiz. In the year of 1899, racing driver Camille Janatsky broke the speed record of 100 kilometers per hour in his car Le Jamais Content, which I'm sure I'm slaughtering that in French. How was that car fueled? Was it steam, electricity, or petrol? So we will come back to those questions at the end of the episode. Everybody got that? Any questions?
I really wish I had studied for this.
Exactly.
Right. I didn't realize there was going to be a pop quiz.
Well,
I brought an expert to the table.
Cheater. Cheater.
We may have to figure out that. I mean, we may boil it down. In any case, our first segment for today is Dawn on the Autobahn. Dawn, take it away.
Thanks, Mickey. I'm excited because there's a chill in the air, and it's time for us to drink some great dunkel dark beer and eat pretzels, which are pretzels. But when you're in Germany, everybody heads down to München or Munich, and they all partake in the Oktoberfest. So one thing that people have to understand is actually Oktoberfest occurred last month in September in Germany. So if you're getting there now, you're late. But if you are there in September and you are fortunate enough to get a car and travel on down the Autobahn to the beautiful city of Munich to take part in the Oktoberfest, there is so much available to you. Food, and there's even places you could take showers. But the hard part, if you decide to do this on a last-minute road trip, is where are you going to sleep? So there was somebody that asked, could you sleep in your car? And the real answer is sure, but not in the middle of Munich. Like there's a Mittelring, there's a road around Munich, sort of like we have our perimeter, roadways around each of our cities. And you should not sleep in your car or van or whatever in the middle of Munich. You could sleep on the outskirts, but then there's the caveat. If you are, let's say you're sleeping in your vehicle and you're taking the Strasse, the U-Bahn or whatever into Munich to partake in all of the libations of the amazing beer that they're serving, don't get caught drunk sleeping in the driver's seat of your car, because you will get ticketed even if you're asleep. So make sure you're either sleeping in the passenger seat or the back seat or the trunk.
Yeah, and that leads me to ask, I was wondering, what are their laws about DUIs there? So does that have to do with DUIs? Are they strict on it? And that's why
strict.
So don't be in your driver's seat. Is that why?
Yes, exactly. That is why. It is 0.05 is the alcohol.
Less than we are used to.
Yes.
No. We're 0.04?
No, we are
0.08.
8.
Okay.
And so it is less, and the alcohol content in most German beers is higher than ours. So yeah. It's one of those things.
Find the Uber of Germany.
Well, I mean, that's the great part about Germany. There's so much public transportation.
The mass transit systems are great.
There's at an affordable rate. So the fact that you'd even think, I mean, I know when I was growing up, we would just take the train down to Munich or wherever we went and find a youth hostel and camp there and go do whatever we wanted to do. So,
right.
Yeah.
And Don, don't forget about the random police checks too.
Right. Talk about that.
So you might go out on a Friday night, go downtown, start drinking, and then, I mean, if you have a beer, it's too much, really, I guess, with 0.05 in my case anyway, and drive home, and all of a sudden you come to a police stop where the police are standing in the middle of the road, waving cars to the side randomly, and if you're one of those random checks, you're going to get a choice, either blow willingly or you'll be taken to the side and give blood forcefully. And
on the side of the road they do blood?
Yeah, they have a little trailer set up and in you go.
Interesting.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
And if you refuse, then you can just hand over your driver's license right on the spot.
Wow.
We have some similar, the blood draw, they go ahead and just arrest you and take you down to the precinct, and then that's where they would draw blood.
Well, fortunately for Germans, people bleed everywhere. So
maybe that's our difference. But we do have roadblocks, which is similar. It's not quite as random. It's just the road you choose. But
right. So Dawn, please continue, Dawn. Sorry.
No, so I just wanted to, I thought that was an interesting quirk of German law that this time of year, again, if you're there now, you missed it. But as we're all thinking about the spiced cider and good German beers and lots of schnitzel, that don't sleep in your car in the middle of Munich. It's not a good thing, and never sleep in the passenger seat after you've had too many beers.
So the thing I wanted to ask you was, I mean, why did Oktoberfest happen in September?
So it was actually a wedding feast for a monarch or a prince and his bride. That's how it got started. And they were married in September. Now, Chi-Chi, I don't remember why it would be called Oktoberfest, or is it because it was preparing for the fall?
Don, actually, I have no idea. All I know about is drinking when it comes to the Oktoberfest. That's the extent of my knowledge.
Yeah, I do know it started because of a marriage between some royalty, but I don't know why September versus October. So I guess we'll have to figure that out.
Could it have gotten combined with another culture because of the Fall Harvest Festival?
Could be.
I mean, it almost seems like if they're at the same time, maybe just culturally it was combined.
You know, but I don't think so somehow, because the fall festival for me is always the new wine and the onion cake and that kind of thing.
Right, right.
I'll tell you what, though, I wish I'd had a car to sleep in. When I was over there a long time ago, I was one of those, GIs. And one day in September, I said, I've got a 3-day weekend and the weather is nice. Why don't I take the train down to Munich? I thought to myself, hey, it's September. Oktoberfest isn't on yet. I got there, found it was on. It was actually the opening weekend of it. And I like the dumbass that I am, I said, okay, well, despite all this hullabaloo and confusion, I'm going to hang around. And I was only able to find a hotel room for 2 of the 3 nights I was there. Why I didn't just go home instead of wandering around the city all night that third night is to this day beyond me. But if I'd had a car to sleep in, that would have been a big help.
Absolutely. All right, so last bit of that part, yes. Yeah. So the reason that Oktoberfest starts in September is because the final day is fixed as the first Sunday of October. And so it starts in September. They're leading up to October, right. And that's why it's called Oktoberfest. And it was the celebration in 1810 of the Bavarian Crown Prince Ludwig, who married Princess Teresa of Saxony Hildburghausen. Ta-da-da!
Right, exactly. And they celebrated with huge horse races back in the time, and that's what turned into Oktoberfest at the time.
Yep. There you go.
So real quick, before we move on to our next segment, is how many of us own German cars?
Not at present, but I have.
Me, too.
Don's got 2. Carmella, do you have any?
Never.
Yes.
What? Yeah. So I guess we'll come back to that in a second because we're moving on here. But I want to hear what Carmella drives, and I know we'll have time to do that in a short second here. So let's move on with our agenda, shall we? It's time for Cultural Collision. Dave, tell us about culture. What you got?
I think since we're on the topic of Oktoberfest, you can't have Oktoberfest without, as Dawn said, pretzels and good beer. But I always think of sausage. And, I'm trying to figure out how do you incorporate sausage into Oktoberfest. Why, the Oscar Meyer Wienermobile, of course.
I was thinking the same thing.
So I was doing a little research on this, and there's, you'll have heard me say on a previous show, I have a bit of a checkered history with the Oscar Meyer Wienermobile. But so the Wienermobile, or I'm going to call it the OWM from here on, dates all the way back to 1936. It was actually built and then it was abandoned during World War II, but they relaunched it in 1952. And there's been 10 generations of the Oscar Meyer Wienermobile since 1952. It's been touring more or less continuously since for like 68 years. Beka, you'll appreciate it. One of the first, I think it's the second generation of Wienermobiles was actually built on an old Willys Jeep chassis.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and so in 1968, Oscar Meyer, they had this thing and they wanted to professionalize the drivers. And I'll talk about why they wanted to professionalize them in a second. But so they created what's called the Hot Dogger program, where recent college graduates are hired right out of school to drive the Wienermobile to various parts of the nation or abroad.
I wanted that job.
You know what? My sister...
I still do.
Yeah, my sister Patty, who's 6 years older than me, is very angry. She cannot get this job. Now, there's a lot of reasons Patty is very angry. It's because of her that we think our grandparents were actually cousins. But there's this ongoing petition. I want to go drive that. I want to go be a hot dogger. So So the position is only up to U.S. citizens. You can only drive it for 1 year. It lasts from June to June, and both you get recruited by Oscar Meyer staff members and hot doggers who come to your campus, and for these 11 positions every year, they get like an average of 2,000 applicants.
Yep.
But yeah, the current one it's built on a GMC W series with a 6-liter Vortex V8 engine. It's about 28 feet long, and there's like 11 of them. But they've also started building other vehicles. So, you've got what I call the mothership Wienermobile, which is 28 feet long. And then you've got they've built one on a 2008 Mini. They've built on motorcycles, bicycles, but the original one, the master one, is just this enormous motorhome type thing. It's basically it's the Bradley fighting vehicle of beef byproducts.
That's hilarious.
Can people sleep in it?
At one time they did. They had it built as a motorhome, but now it's like this. It actually, the pictures of it looks a little bit like a Delta Sky Club on the inside.
Wow.
It's the fun thing though is every time these things are always custom built, and many of them have incorporated iconic taillights. So like the 1969 was built on a Chevy chassis, but with Ford Thunderbird taillights. In 1995, they had another purpose-built one built on a custom-built chassis with Pontiac Trans Am taillights and Pontiac Grand Am headlights.
Huh.
And the current model, not the Mini, has Pontiac Firebird taillights.
Wow.
So if you wanted to build your own Wienermobile because you can't get a job as a hot dogger, this was purpose built in 2004 on this GMC model. It's got gull wing doors with automatic retractable steps, a voice activated GPS navigation system, a mustard splattered carpet walkway in the center, and
Nice.
audio
So
center
all the hot
complete
dogs
with
you want.
wireless microphone. There's blue sky ceiling art inside. The seats are mustard and ketchup colored.
That's too
And the whole horn system can play 28 different versions of the Oscar Meyer Wiener jingle in styles including rap, reggae, bossa nova, and ska.
Oh my goodness.
I personally want to hear a bossa nova Oscar Meyer Wiener jingle, and I can't find a recording
There
of it
you go.
online.
That's so. I mean, the mind boggles. I mean, can you imagine? First of all, getting to build one of these things. I mean, what is it? Just a big fiberglass shell on top of, the other chassis, and the whole thing just bolts in, or I wonder how that works.
Yeah,
Probably.
basically it's a custom truck chassis, and then they build it out of aircraft aluminum fiberglass.
God.
Wow, that's amazing. We need to post that on our Facebook page and see what the interior looks like. I'm still trying to get the Delta Sky
The Delta
vision
Sky
in,
Lounge thing.
vision in my head because it sounds very upscale and
It's pretty posh on the inside, and
in mustard and ketchup.
I mean, I understand that thing is a huge brand ambassador. The vehicle itself has turned into a brand ambassador for Oscar Meyer, but it also would make sense to me if the inside were outfitted like a food truck, right? That way you could drive them around and just serve everyone nice, hot, steaming weenies.
That's what I thought it would be. Yeah. Oh, interesting.
So I mentioned before, I've had personal experience with this because I was stalked by the Wienermobile over a two-week period. Every day, about a year and a half ago, they obviously were based in Atlanta doing visits around here, possibly recruiting. But every day, the Wienermobile was following me home from work. It's like, and I've got I sent Mickey a couple of pictures of this where every day it was behind me on the connector. So that got me thinking about, okay, what other, does anybody else have a checkered experience with this? And there are actually, a couple of crime, true crime stories related to the Wienermobile. In June of 2007, the Wienermobile had Wisconsin license plates that said "Yummy" on it. Somebody stole the "Yummy" license plate, and when they reissued it. They sent the Wiener mobile on the road, but they didn't actually notify the police department, and so the Wiener mobile got pulled over in Arizona, of course, and checked because the license plate showed that the license plate had been stolen. So then Oscar Meyer had to come in and inform the police department that it was in fact a reissued plate, so they would release it from impound. And then in 2009, a Wienermobile on a cul-de-sac in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, was attempting to turn around in a residential driveway and accidentally accelerated forward, thinking it was the driver thinking he had it reversed, and they lodged the Wienermobile under a house and destroyed its signature bun.
Oh.
Oh, man.
And then just this year in January, a Wienermobile was pulled over in Waukesha, Wisconsin. The sheriff's deputy said because it failed to violate the move over law, which requires motorists to move over one lane to pass an emergency vehicle.
Right.
Fortunately, the hot dogger was only issued a warning.
Yeah.
But so I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say, not to interrupt your flow of thought here. If anybody has any doubt of the cultural impact of these things, there is one in the Henry Ford Museum.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
I saw it last year.
So
If I were a hot dogger, I wouldn't want to be in Wisconsin. I think they're out for the dog there.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you would freeze your buns off or something.
Well, that too.
But I don't know, Dawn. I mean, think about it the other way around. If you're a hot dogger, you'd be worshipped in Wisconsin, maybe.
That's true. That's true.
So actually, fun fact: while we're talking about the hot doggers, the original Oscar Meyer Wienermobile was actually for many years driven by a little person who was in character of Little Oscar. It was what the character's name was, and was portrayed by actually a gentleman named Meinhard Robbie. And Meinhard Robbie, good German name, most people don't know, was the last surviving Munchkin from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
He was also his last surviving cast member who had any dialogue in the film. He's the one who portrayed the coroner who pronounces the Wicked Witch of the East not only merely dead but really most sincerely dead.
Yes. Oh God, that's too much trivia.
What a career!
Yeah.
Well, after doing all that research, do you wish you were an Oscar Meyer Wiener, David?
I've always thought of myself more as a Polish sausage type.
Ben, wouldn't you like to be a wiener too?
I must confess, I'm a bratwurst.
I like rotwurst.
Okay.
What about you, Chi-Chi?
Well, I'm a vegetarian, so I.
Oh my God.
That's
We
right.
have just hopelessly offended Chi-Chi with my segment.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Entire thing smells of pork.
All right, thank you, Dave. Excellent cultural collision stuff. I hope the Oscar Meyer Wienermobile doesn't stalk you anymore, especially in Atlanta. That's bad. I can't imagine looking in my rearview mirror and seeing that several days in a row. That would frighten the hell out of me too.
Actually, I'm thinking I need to call them and see if I can get them to stalk him just for giggles.
Just for giggles? Okay, so here's our challenge then. Let's ask the Oscar Meyer company to come by with the Oscar Meyer Wienermobile and park in front of Dave's house.
There we go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
There
All
we
right.
go. I like that idea.
In my neighborhood, people don't customarily decorate with large meat byproducts. That might be fun.
Large
Dawn,
phallic-shaped vehicles. You
right.
know.
Oh,
Dawn,
no, that does happen all the time in Midtown.
I was not going to go there, but thank you for going there, Dave. That's good.
That's my job.
Dawn, you're up. Please introduce your guest and let's talk a little more about what Carmella's got on the table for us.
Excellent. Well, everybody, I want you to welcome Carmella Hoffman, who I very fondly call Chi-Chi. We went to Heidelberg High School together, Heidelberg American High School in Heidelberg, Germany, back in the day. And I have just really admired Chi-Chi's career because she has been in the auto industry, both up in Detroit, and she has, has some of the ins and outs of what goes on in the mechanical side of things. She has a really incredible career. I mean, when I think about everything that she's done, I'm just really excited to have her with us on this segment because she's mostly been in purchasing for 20 years and, done project purchasing. And because she was in Detroit for 15 years, she knows the demands and challenges in what is still a very male-dominated area. And she's really worked hard to make sure that she's moved up the chain and gotten all of the certifications that she needs. So I'm just really excited to have you with us, Chi-Chi, and let's start talking about what's going on over there. This is almost kind of will hint at one of the questions from our Grand Trivia Auto, but let's talk about IG metal, which is actually, that's the way we say it in English, but Chi-Chi will help us understand it in German. So Chi-Chi, tell us a little bit what's going on with workers in the auto industry over there in Germany.
Thank you for the introduction, Don, and your kind words. So IG Metall is how you pronounce the German Metal Workers Union in German. It's the largest union actually in Germany. And when we hear the word union, we think blue collar a lot of times, but it's the IG Metall represents all workers, blue collar and white collar. So, and what's going on right now, I mean, Germany is right now celebrating 30 years of reunification between East and West Germany. It's a huge milestone for the country. And IG Metall has brought up the point that, hey, East German workers are working a 38-hour work week, while West German workers have been enjoying a 35-hour work week since 1995. So they're really trying to remove that barrier, remove that wall, if you will.
Huh.
And
so there's still a cultural separation between the two areas in terms of work styles and things like that?
Absolutely, and pay. You know, the wages are still lagging behind in the East from the West. And so, initially German employers were on board with this change last spring. They had agreed, and now they've come back and said, no, we're going to reject this plan. And actually it was a pretty lenient plan, so a step-by-step reduction over the next 10 years to move from this 38-hour work week down to the 35 hours. But it's been rejected, and employers are asking for plans to be able to choose between a 30 or 40-hour work week, and also asking for financial reimbursement from employees in exchange for the reduced hours.
Interesting.
Amazing.
But it's interesting also that European workers, and especially German workers, have pretty robust benefit packages. So
right.
They get lots of vacation, and there's a lot of shutdowns, right?
Right. So the norm in Germany is about 6 weeks vacation, I would say, and then unlimited sick leave with a doctor's note, plus other benefits. So shutdown periods are normal throughout automotive in the US as well as in Germany. Usually it's the OEMs and the first tier, the tier 1 suppliers that have this, but there's 2 shutdown periods typically. So during the summer in the US, it would be that week, the July 4th week. In Germany, it's, everybody takes vacation in August, like everybody else in Europe. And then the winter shutdown is the 2 weeks prior to and including Christmas.
Right. So I just want to underline that before you move on to your next bullet point here, which was to say, okay, what's the norm for vacation time and sick leave with a doctor's note and those benefits again? Could you repeat that for us?
So the norm for vacation in Germany is about 6 weeks, and then unlimited sick leave with a doctor's note.
And wouldn't you say that Germans are probably the most productive people in the world? What do you think?
I would say that they like to think they are. That's for sure. But there could be some truth to that because they, at least in automotive, because of a higher use of industrial robots and cultural differences. So like when we go to work, we're used to networking throughout the day. Whereas if you go to the same office in the German location, your counterparts, there's really no chit-chatting going on. They're focused, they're on task, and they're working until break. And then during the break is when everybody will do their networking.
Gotcha.
No,
Networking is the new fancy way of saying gossiping at the water cooler.
Small talk.
Exactly.
Small talk. Well, I mean, and the reason I ask is because it's one of my hot button issues is the way we culturally organize the workday in the West compared to, or at least in America compared to other, industrialized nations. It's, my wife just started a new job and I think she gets 6 days a week of vacation time and only a handful of sick days. And it's just, it's pitiful compared to what other industrialized nations offer their people. And that has always been a sticking point for me. So thank you, but please
Did you
continue.
say 6 days a week?
No, 6 days of vacation, 6 or 7 days of vacation total.
A year.
A year, and I don't know how many sick days she has. I don't know what that is. It's not many. It's a handful. So,
Right.
Yeah, Mickey, it's actually I echo your sentiments. It is not lost on me that it took a global pandemic to give me the best work-life balance I've had in 20 years.
Exactly.
Right. So let's move on and talk about the Frankfurt Motor Show, because there's some changes coming to that, including the location. Right.
So the International Automobile Exposition, abbreviated as IAA, has traditionally been held in Frankfurt for the last 70 years, and now it's moving to Munich. So that's a big change, a very big change. Munich was awarded after competing with Berlin, Hamburg, Köln, Stuttgart, and Hanover. So, and the Munich show is going to be focusing on technology, sustainable mobility, intelligent transport solutions, and dialogue formats. So it's not just restricted to cars, but also mass transit systems and buses and that kind of thing.
So they've opened up the scope of the whole thing.
They have.
It's amazing.
They have. And the reason for the change was really the sharp decline in attendance. So it just wasn't making a profit at all anymore. And so that's why they had to change the format. And then that resulted in a change of location. So it's a shame for Frankfurt, which is close to where Don and I grew up. But
and easy to get into the airport there. So, but if you're going over to Germany next year, look at September 7th through the 12th, 2021, if we can actually do things like that. So cool.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. So Autoberfest and the auto show are both going on in Munich next year at the same time?
Yeah, good point, Beka.
Book a hotel now.
Yeah. No
so if you get drunk, don't go test drive one of the cars. I know they usually don't let you test drive, but it was still a funny thought.
I'm wondering if we could get sponsorship to get over there.
I was just going to say, remote. The thing about cars does München.
Right.
That would be cool.
Maybe a listener can help us out with that. Maybe Porsche can help us out with that.
There you go.
Anyway, all right. One more thing. We're out of time for this segment, so do you want to quickly talk about the?
Yeah, let's transition to the BMW 4 just real quick. Tell us some things that you're seeing on the horizon there, Chi-Chi, for that particular model.
Yeah, so I found the 2022 BMW M4 Cabrio pretty interesting. The prototype is currently being tested with a launch plan for summer of next year. So interesting things are, there are some major steering enhancements being worked on to eliminate disturbances, new dampers, and enhanced stabilization control system. And then this is the first time that BMW is offering the M4 with the all-wheel drive some of the models. So that's really exciting for me, having spent so much time in Detroit. You really want to have an all-wheel drive in that area. And then kind of interesting is also the quadruple exhaust. So some people might wonder, what is the advantage of having a quadruple exhaust over a double exhaust? And maybe most of it is really just aesthetic, thinking it looks cool. But it's also weight reduction and enhanced exhaust flow and fewer restrictions to the exhaust flow. And then, of course, it's going to sound a lot louder, a lot more like an American muscle car.
Right. I can't wait to see one.
What are you thinking, Beka?
Oh, that's one of my, I'll believe it when I hear it. And a lot of the American muscle cars no longer sound like American muscle cars. So it was a combination sound.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, Carmella. And I hope you will stick around for the rest of the episode and join us in future episodes too, for that matter. This has been good.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yep, stick with us so we can see if we can team them up against the questions for our Grand Trivia audit.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And now it's time for Ben Takes a Moment. Ben, please take us away.
Yeah, well, I'd like to take a moment to think about race cars here for a second, which, of course, are very popular in Germany as well as everywhere else. There's this old adage that you may have seen on a T-shirt somewhere that says that the first automobile race happened right after the second automobile was built. It's probably not literally true, but it's probably pretty close. I mean, for as long as cars have been around, people have been racing them. There's that natural human competitive spirit, that tendency to say, well, let's see which one's faster, which one does something better. And people have been racing things with wheels since ancient Rome, at the very least. But it didn't take them long after, engines and wheels got put together to, start competing with those. And it's been something that's been pretty big with us ever since. And a lot of people may not think about it that much, but it's really had a pretty major impact on the automotive world. It became a marketing tool right away. That whole win on Sunday, sell on Monday thing. And think about it, without automobile racing, would names such as Le Mans, Indy, Daytona, Sebring, Monaco, and such places like that really have very much meaning for very many people? They do, though. And what makes people spend so much money on their own cars in a big pretense?
Right.
All the people who pour thousands of dollars onto their cars in this sort of wannabe race car fantasy thing. It's really pretty interesting, the impact of racing on the non-racing automotive world, and the technology benefits too. Of course, there's so many things they develop as a competitive advantage on the track that eventually wind up in our daily drivers. Some more than others, but I got to thinking, race cars are pretty damn big, even if you've never driven one.
Right.
They affect your world somehow.
It's true. There's something central to them. I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know if the culture is changing away from racing in general. And there's a part of me that looks at phenomenon like NASCAR and wonder just what exactly is so interesting about cars driving around in an oval for however many hours at a time. Some of that I just don't understand. But there is I think a cultural. I think it goes all the way back to Roman times, for that matter. I think it goes all the way back to horses.
Yeah,
they didn't plaster sponsorships on horses back then, but everyone went to the arena to see who could go the hardest, the fastest, et cetera, et cetera.
Don't underestimate the influence of Speed Racer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Speed Buggy. I'm just saying.
Well, thank you, Ben. So if you were to jump into a race car, what class, what are we talking about here? Do you have a favorite team? Oh,
well, I mean, as far as the present day goes, I don't know. In fact, honestly, present day, I'd probably go to one of those vintage events, because what I probably had more fantasies about than anything when it came to racing was Formula One in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, that to me was kind of a golden era. It was really, really cool. Although it would be a hell of a fantasy because I wouldn't fit in those cars. Right. You have to be a really tiny person to do that. It's kind of like jockeys. Right. Yeah, no, they're not meant for average sized people for sure. But holy mackerel, the power. I've seen Formula One power. I think that's right. So, all right. Thank you, Ben. Look forward. Sorry?
Well, yeah, the power thing. Yeah, I think they're in Formula One. You're looking at around 1,000 horsepower in some cases in things that weigh, like a go-kart. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
I think Le Mans would be the coolest.
I agree. Le Mans is the one that resonates with me.
Yeah, I think the endurance racing stuff sounds pretty interesting to me.
I don't know. I'd be all over NMRA, National Mustang
Mustang
Racing
Racing?
Association.
Of course. But I also see sort of this weird appeal to drag racing for some reason. I'm not sure why. I don't know why the quarter-mile challenge stands out to me, because it's also boring as hell.
Yeah, NMRA's a lot of drag, yes.
Right, just to drive in a straight line for very short periods of time. That sounds silly, but
Well, have you been to a drag race?
You're
not
awesome.
Not in person, no.
It's a lot of spectacle. It's more noise than you can imagine. A whole lot of Sturm und Drang, if we want to go back to the German thing.
It's good noise. It's like going to a concert.
I didn't say it wasn't.
Right. So here's our challenge to a listener, or at least I hope a listener will take us up to this. Please host us at a drag racing event so I can change my mind. I think we would all have some fun with that, and I hope one of us can make that possible. I just, personally, I know I'm speaking out of turn because I've never actually been to an in-person drag event, but here in Atlanta or around Georgia, I'm not even sure where to go.
Well, at this time of year, you're running out of options, but I'm thinking I need to drag you down to Silver Dollar maybe next spring. Take a look at the schedule, see what's going on.
You're on. Let's do it. Let's do that. And hopefully, again, I still think the open challenge to our listeners should stand. I think if there's a way to get hosted and just go do this thing together, let's see if we can have some fun together. So.
Yeah, there's one north of me somewhere too, up 85. I can look into that.
Yeah, I thought that was Atlanta Roadway or Atlanta Speedway or not. No, not the Speedway. It's
Atlanta Dragway, I believe, is up.
Yeah,
north of me.
Yep.
All right, it's time to move on to our next segment, and that means it's my turn. Grinds my gears. You know what really grinds my gears?
What really grinds your gears?
What is it?
Well, it's Porsche, right? The man's name is Porsche, for crying out loud already. It has 2 syllables in it, Porsche, right? So every time I hear someone say, every time I hear someone say Porsche, it makes me think that okay, here we are as Southerners, we go out of our way to make any monosyllabic conversation a multisyllabic polyphonic exercise, right? Like you can't just say. I mean, you've done it yourself, Beka. You've done it in this show before. 1 syllable becomes 2.
No, we tend to reduce syllables, kind of like "eat" means "did you eat?"
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm having trouble coming up with an example right now. So why can't we simply say Porsche correctly? The man's name was Porsche.
I figured I knew where you were going as soon as you started that, and I have an explanation that I believe is the issue with that.
Okay.
And a lot of it is, I blame it on children of the 80s. I don't know if it extends before or after anything, but it was so very common in the 80s to say Porsche.
Because there is no substitute.
Well, any movie, any whatever, people always said Porsche. So I think it just became so ingrained into at least my generation to use the word Porsche instead of Porsche that it's just difficult to switch, or some people don't want to switch.
I think it's a little deeper than that, though, because having an E by itself on the end of something is not pronounced in English, ever.
That's right.
I will attest to that, but the number of people who pronounce my name as David Paul.
Oh, Paulie. Yeah, Paulie.
Yes. Oh, man. Anyway, so it's Porsche, and it really gets me whenever I hear someone say, "Hey, can I borrow your Porsche?" Of course, it gets to me because I don't have a Porsche, but still, Porsche.
Yeah, it grinds my gears too that I don't have a Porsche.
Yeah.
Anymore. I had a cat named Porsche, but not a car.
So,
yes,
anyway.
it is the height of my book. Good cool. Grinds my gears. That grinds my gears too, Mickey. I correct people all the time.
So thank you for listening to my rant. I'm going to turn the table over here to Beka, who's going to take us through her segment called Fix or Repair Daily. Beka, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm can't say I'm thoroughly happy with the title. I know it's supposed to be a hail to, but somebody who has owned a lot of Fords and has heard that acronym an awful lot as a derogatory thing.
It's become a cultural sort of thumbtack in the world of of
picking on Fords. So you know what really grinds my gears?
What do you have, Beka?
Well, I have news from the world of Mustang. Motor Trend had published an article way back April 2nd, where they had heard some rumblings and rumors, and so they had done a story where they speculated that the Mustang GT 350 and the GT 350R would be discontinued. So they had published another one on October 1st, where they were discussing the new GT350 Heritage Edition that's going to be coming out. So Ford has officially confirmed, according to Motor Trend, that the GT350, the GT350R, Shelby Mustangs will be going away. The 2020 is the last year for those. It did not say anything about any issues with the Shelby name. If anybody who's been around long enough, especially with Mustangs, knows there was a long dispute between Ford and Shelby where Ford was not allowed to use Shelby's name at all. So there's nothing like that anywhere in here. It's just these incarnations. Ford was saying they're just kind of at the peak of it. They're awesome cars. We're going to go ahead and retire them while they're ahead. They did talk about a possible Mach 1 coming out for 2021. I guess it's industry gossip at the moment. And the Mach 1 will be replacing the Bullet Mustang. And as a side note, something I've come across quite a lot, Bullet is not the same as Billet, please. Okay, two totally different things. I've actually convinced car salesmen, you're confusing two things. But so that's the big news right now, that those two editions of Mustangs will be retiring. I don't know if, I like specialty editions like Mach 1s from the past. I don't know if that's really going to replace the Shelby GT350R or not. And I'm wondering, I was going to go look and see what their ETA was on that Mach E. I'm wondering if a Mach 1 and a Mach E, being two entirely different things coming out nearly the same time, would be utterly confusing or not. But
well, and that leads me to my first question for you, which is you've sort of touched on this already, but why is Mustang doing this thing where they're bringing around a Mustang that's clearly not a Mustang in the name of producing an electric vehicle, and they're taking away two limited flagship editions based upon the Mustang, the actual Mustang itself? Two of the high-end, high-performance Mustangs are going away. It just seems kind of weird to me that are they trying to dumb down the brand or what?
I have so many bad jokes that I just shouldn't say right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call the Shelby line a flagship.
Okay.
Pardon me. It used to be when Mustang came out, you had your whole line here. By the special or limited editions just seem to pop in and out from Mustang world so much anymore. It almost seems hard to keep up with. Hey, what years did we have a Bullet? What year did we have, a Mach 1? They just seem to kind of pop in and out all the time now. We can't even say Cobras anymore, where it used to be your base model, your GT, and your Cobra was your main line, and now it's like, wait a minute, it's been a little bit more challenging to keep up with the whole thing.
Right.
As far as why they're retiring it, the only explanation was really what they were stating with the, retire them while they're on top, at the peak of their game. Who knows what really behind it? The last time Shelby's name disappeared, it was actually a dispute between Ford and Carroll Shelby. And as we all know, and I feel like I should give a visual of taking a hat off and bowing my head that Carroll Shelby is no longer with us. So it's not, I'm totally speculating on everything here using past events. I don't know. I'm sure we are going to see a Shelby, I'm combining those, see a Shelby reoccur at some point. My biggest question is going to be, when are we going to see the Cobra label show back up?
Right.
you know, so I don't know. And then beyond that, my question is, we've done all of these special editions. Where the hell is my Twister special?
Your what special?
My Twister special. And I said that kind of funny. All of these S and SH words, I'm getting all tongue tangled here. My unicorn is the 1970 428 Super Cobra Jet Twister special. And yes, it has to be the 428. And I actually have stories. Maybe we can tell them some other time.
Yes.
Make a side note so I don't go off into a tangent. So yeah, I'm waiting for that one. Other than that, I really don't know. It was mostly focusing on the cars at hand that they were talking about. The original one, you know, it was going into speculation about the GT 350 and the 350R. The next one was mostly all about the Heritage Edition. So it didn't go in depth as to what's going on, why are we seeing this, but it's something, if I hear more, I can always come back and update and say, here's what's going on.
Right. Well, thank you. We'll keep an eye on the world of Mustang for sure. The next segment would have been listener mail, except we don't have any this time.
Well, our mailbag is empty.
Our mailbag is empty, yeah.
Our computer did not say, you've got mail.
Nope, no, nothing significant came in this time, but so we'll just make an appeal right here for listener mail.
So let me throw in a fix spec so that I want to throw something out to everybody and see what y'all think.
Yes, Dawn had mentioned that she had an issue with her car.
Yes.
Okay.
So Beka, let's talk about fixing or myself, or should I seek out more professional? And anybody jump in. Ben might have an idea too. So I was driving my convertible CLK the other day, and the back left, you know, I had the convertible top down, and the back left little window, that little side window, you know, because there is seating for guests back there, although it's usually just me driving my little girl. The window wouldn't go down. You know, the motor, it would not go down. So I said to my husband, hey, Chris, can you just give that a little tap? I'm sure something just got stuck.
Oh, don't tap it, don't tap it, don't tap it.
He tapped it.
Oh, God.
And crunch. And the whole thing slid down into the thing, and it won't come up. And every time I try now to move it, it sounds like glass breaking.
Okay, so it sounds like the window motor might have,
Crapped out.
Well, it could have just developed a bad spot. It's something that I have learned, that a window motor doesn't necessarily go out all the way. It will develop bad spots, basically, that it'll work until it's in a bad spot, and then you'll have issues with it. But it sounds like maybe if you were having problems with the motor and then he tapped it and maybe he took it off the track.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why you're hearing the glass crunching kind of sound. So the first thing you start out with at this point is take off the interior trim that gives you access to the area so that you can see what. Is it off track? Okay, if it's off track and not broken, get it back on track, and then start testing your window motor. If it's off track, then it could be bigger issues if you don't solve that first.
Oh, that makes sense. Because actually, don't let him tap it again, right?
Right.
It was stuck up there, and it looked so silly because we were driving down the road with one window up, and I'm like, I look like an idiot. I have to put this thing down. Why is it not going down?
Then what you do is you draw an eyeball, some big teeth, and a shark fin on it and make it a thing.
So let's finish this episode of this special edition of To Think About Cars, the Autoberfest edition, with our answers to our Grand Trivia Auto question. You guys ready for these 10 rapid-fire questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. So the overall thing is, how much do we know about German cars and German driving? So question number 1, how many registered cars are there in Germany as of 2017? 32 million, 46 million, or 72 million? What do you guys think?
Well, there are about over 80 million Germans.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with B. How many did you say? 40?
46 or
Yeah, I'm going with that, 46.
That
I'm
is
going with
correct.
46 too.
Yeah, the answer would be
Me too.
46 million. That's correct. Question number
wow.
2. Where was the world's first engine factory built in 1864? Was it Berlin, Frankfurt, or Cologne? Cologne?
Ken. I bet you know Chi-Chi.
Good.
Yes, she is correct. Absolutely correct. Question number 3. How many people in Germany use car sharing options?
I would say 0.
4 million,
Okay.
2 million, or only 400,000?
400,000.
I
But if they have
Seems
good
reasonable.
public transit, then
Remember,
that's
there are 48 million registered cars in Germany.
mhm.
And so the choices here for car sharing options are 4 million, 2 million, or 400,000. The answer is 2 million, since nobody else is jumping out. 2 million,
Hmm.
2 million car sharing. Question number 4. Which car manufacturer of today was the world's biggest producer of bicycles in the early 20th century? Is that Opel, Audi, or Daimler?
My gut says
Daimler.
Opel.
Your gut says Opel.
I'm
Ben's
upset that Schwinn wasn't an option.
Schwinn would be not German, I think.
Right.
But the answer,
Importing.
Ben's gut serves him well. It's definitely Opel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Question number 5. Which of the following brands does not belong to BMW? Is it the Mini, the Rolls-Royce motor cars, or the Audi?
The Audi.
OD.
That'd be
That's
the
correct.
OD.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is correct, the Audi. Question number 6. Germany is among the few countries in the world that does not have a general speed limit. For which other country is this also true? Would that be Italy, Chile, or Somalia?
I would say Italy.
Italy? Anyone else want to make a guess?
I would believe it for any of them.
Yeah, that's where
All
I'm
of them.
stuck at.
All of them. No,
All of the
Somalia. Somalia doesn't have a general established speed limit. So question number 7. Who developed the first car featuring a combustion engine? Would that be Carl Benz, Wilhelm Maybach, or Gottlieb Daimler? Daimler.
I thought it was Daimler.
It's
I think
not.
so too.
I'm gonna
No?
go with Maybach.
No, it was Benz.
Benz. Okay.
Yeah.
Question number 8. How many people are employed in the car industry in Germany, including its suppliers, again, as of 2017? Would that be 250,000 people? Would that be 800,000 people? Or would it be 1,075,000 people?
1,075,000.
That's where I go.
That's where I go.
I'm sorry, Chi-Chi, but the answer is actually 800,000 according to this quiz.
What? That's
Yeah.
not possible. Really?
I'm with her. Sorry, Mickey. I'm going with her on this.
Question number 9. Which of these was not developed by Ferdinand Porsche? Was it the world's first hybrid car, the automatic transmission, or the VW Beetle?
I'm
I know
thinking
he-
the automatic.
That's what I'm
Yes.
thinking. And
Yeah.
it's like in the back of my head, I know why, and I can't seem to formulate it all the way. I know where it came from. Ah,
Dave, you
All right,
got
go
an
ahead.
opinion here?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's the automatic transmission.
Yeah, that would be correct. It is the automatic transmission. Apparently, Porsche did invent the world's first hybrid car and the VW Beetle.
Yes.
hmm
The last one, and I wish you guys could see the picture that's associated with this. It's this weird missile legume-looking thing that this person is driving. And then the question is, of course, in the year 1899, racing driver Kamil Janatsky broke the speed record of 100 kilometers per hour in his car Le Jamais Content. How was the car fueled? Was it steamed? Was it a steam thing? Was it electric? Or was it petrol, gas powered?
I think it was electric.
I think it was electric too.
Wait, what year are we talking about again?
1899?
I mean, this is Tesla's
Okay.
era. This is when Tesla was around. So
Right.
I think steam, actually.
You think steam?
I'm not leaning toward. Oh, goodness.
Carmella, you got a guess while Becca's trying to figure things out?
I'm leaning towards steam.
Okay. Well, while Becca's figuring it out, the answer is electricity. It was electric.
Is it okay?
Ah,
Wow.
okay.
yeah, there was a lot of electrical cars happening at that time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
There were, yeah.
the note on Tesla being he was wildly unrecognized in his time. He did not get, the credit, and poor Tesla. I won't even go into it, but
Oh.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
There's huge discussions on the political environment at the time. Political meaning, of course, is competition with Edison and maybe one or two other people. Edison apparently did a lot to try to discredit and shame Tesla.
Edison also liked to steal other people's ideas. So
That's true. That is true.
Yes, the winner writes history. The losers, not so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is a well-documented thing. So in any case, thanks everybody for experimenting with us for this special episode, the Autoberfest edition of The Thing About Cars. We will look forward to seeing you with another episode in about a week where we're going to segment the show a little differently. We have a new format coming up, a different way to segment each particular show. So we welcome your thoughts and opinions and suggestions for segments for us. And in the meantime, thanks for being a part of our family. Thanks for your support of us. We will hope you and yours are all staying safe and healthy. And again, we'll see you with another episode in about a week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye there.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Ah, there it is. I was going to say.
It actually should be Auf Wiederhören.
There you go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Thing About Cars. We'll see you on the road.